All right, it's 10 o'clock. We'll begin the meeting. If you're here for the Pine County Board meeting, you're in the right spot. Pine County Commissioner Matt Ludwig will be attending the county board meeting today via interactive technology pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.02. Commissioner Ludwig will be seen and heard at the meeting via electronic means and will participate from Staybridge Suites 2350 Commerce Drive, Northwest Rochester, a location that is open and accessible to the public. And the public is invited to join this meeting. If you haven't done so remotely already, you probably are still dialing in. With that, we'll call the meeting to order and we'll rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. The biggest crowd we've had in a couple of years almost. Public forum. Is anybody here that wishes to speak at public forum? Yes.
One question.
Yep.
Steve, I'm looking at the graphs here, and I'm just wondering if those graphs include ARPA money, the expenditures and the receipts. Does that money have ARPA money in it?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other public forum questions, comments? If not, we'll move on to the agenda. We got some additions and corrections.
We do, Mr. Chair. If we could add to regular agenda item number 4A, setting the health insurance premiums for 2022 by plan. And if we could add to regular agenda item number 10A, a resolution establishing a study committee and appointing members. And if we could add additional information to consent agenda item number 4, commissioner expense claim form, and additional information for regular agenda item number 8, third quarter financial update.
Anything else, anybody? Not, we'll look for a motion.
Make a motion to accept the agenda.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Lovegren, seconded by Moore to accept the agenda as amended. Any discussion? If not, Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren. Aye. District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Thank you.
We'll move on to approval of the minutes of October 5th, County Board meeting and summary for publication.
Ludwig will move.
And we'll second.
Motion by Ludwig, second by Lovegren. Any discussion? If not, Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig. Commissioner
Did it get to
Ludwig.
me? Ludwig's aye.
Thank you. District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren. Aye. Thank you.
And for the first time in modern history, we don't have any other reports or correspondences. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. Had that in front of you for several days.
Make a motion to accept this consent agenda.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Lovegren, seconded by Moore to approve the consent agenda. What was that?
Background from Matt.
Okay. Any discussion? If not, all in favor or no? Debbie, I'm trying to get one by you. Call please.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren. Aye. District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the regular agenda. And our first item is recognition of the retirement of Betty Kozlowska. I know I murdered that, but Betty. I was practicing too.
Chair, members of the board, thank you for recognizing Betty here. For over 42 years, Betty's provided services to the citizens of Pine County. 42 years. She's a wealth of knowledge, compassion, and sarcasm. She has made the world a better place over the last 42 years with the county. As her supervisor, I could take the entire board to tell you about the stories and how she's impacted the lives of the citizens and colleagues. But unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for you, Becky only had this a 5-minute agenda item. So one story I did want to share is very recent. About 18 months ago, while we were learning to adjust with the COVID lockdowns and the unknown, of course, the unknowns of tax revenue, business closings, county budget, my unit had 4 staff that were partially furloughed in May of 2020. Betty was not one of those staff. But shortly after the news got out that a handful of staff were being furloughed, Betty called me on Microsoft Teams and brought up the idea of doing a phased retirement option, starting in just a couple weeks from that call, roughly about June 1st of 2020. The phased retirement option, for those of you that aren't aware, is something available to county workers through a retirement account with the state of Minnesota and through PARA. Betty selflessly proposed on her own to cut her hours and benefits roughly in half for the remainder of her time at Pine County to help protect her fellow employees. And that is Betty in a nutshell. For 42 years, it's never been just about her, but about how she can better serve the public and her colleagues the best she can. I also want to take this last minute here to extend my own thanks to Betty, not only for her service to Pine County, but for everything she's done for me for the last 7 years, helping me as a new social worker and colleague in HHS initially, and then again, helping me as a new supervisor in HHS and her boss. I learned quickly, both as a colleague and supervisor, that if you wanted something done, a question answered, or the hot gossip, you went to Betty. All 3 of those things are important to have in your back pocket as a supervisor, especially the gossip piece. The relationship that I formed with her from colleague to supervisor wasn't always easy, but while we navigated that change in our professional relationship, all along, Betty has been a fantastic mentor to me. And navigating those professional and personal relationships is what can be difficult, but also rewarding working in a small county. You can gain a professional mentor, develop friendships, and work to make the world a better place. I was lucky enough to be able to do that side by side with one of the best. So thank you, Betty, and may you now enjoy your full retirement.
Betty, you gotta come up here because you get not only a gold watch when you retire, you get a gold watch. Thank you very much. I did a little studying on you. 42 years. And I think that's, you don't have to be the boss, be the glue of the factory that keeps everybody going.
Definitely had our ups and downs.
But thank you very much.
My ways, so.
Some of us got to be that way. But thank you very much for your wonderful job you did for us.
Thank you, board, for everything. It's been a great 42 years most of the time. A lot of changes and a lot of programs. I think I was thinking this morning, I think I went through 4 different client information programs. So that was always fun because I'm not techie. But thank you very much.
Thanks, Betty. Our next one is a recognition of officers for action. Acknowledge the action of Pine County Deputy Josh Pepin, Aaron Borchard, and Troy Griffith, and Conservation Officer Ben Cron. So Jeff, you got a.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to discuss some of the work that we've done, I guess. So I'm sure you guys are aware of the incident. On 10/9 of 21, Pine County deputies responded to a domestic involving a gun call at the casino. The suspect had fled in a vehicle prior to the deputies' arrival. The suspect was located driving in the area, and there was a short pursuit. The suspect's driving conduct showed that he was willing to injure or kill others to get away. Deputies ended the pursuit when he drove the wrong way on North Marland I-35 and then stopped his vehicle. Deputy Pepin proceeded to get in front of the suspect. As he stepped out of his squad, the suspect drove towards him and into oncoming traffic. Deputy Pepin used deadly force to stop the threat to himself and the traveling public. Other deputies and assisting agencies began arriving on scene. Once the threat was no longer apparent, Deputy Pepin and Deputy Aaron Borchard secured the suspect and began rendering aid. Deputy Troy Griffith and Conservation Officer Ben Kieran joined in the resuscitation efforts. The suspect did not survive. I'm not here to suggest in any way that we celebrate the loss of any life. I am here to recognize these officers for their role in protecting the public. They showed quick decision-making in a rapidly evolving scene. They showed the ability to process the entire scene to protect themselves and the traveling public in the chaos of the event with the backdrop of extremely heavy freeway traffic. They showed compassion to the suspect and attempted to maintain his life after he was no longer a threat. Each of these points is worthy of noting. Accomplishing all of them at the same time is truly a feat. I want to thank each one of you that we mentioned for the professional way that they carried themselves that day, and I'm proud to serve with them in the county of Pine. And that's the ones that were immediately on the scene right there. There was a host of people that supported us in that scene. And again, I could spend the rest of the day reading a list of people from fire to supporting agencies that were there. But the ones that were there immediately on the scene did an incredible job. And so I want to thank them with, if you guys, Troy Griffith was not able to come up here, but the other are here. If you want to come up, Ben, Josh, Aaron. And it's just a letter, but it means a lot. And it's the same here, you know. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. And again, Troy couldn't be here. He's at training. So thank you for your time. Hey, guys.
You guys are too humble. But just come up here so you can turn around and face the public here and everybody can get a good picture. But we just want to, as a county board, we want to thank you for doing what you do every day. We appreciate it. And Jeff, thanks for pointing this out. Sometimes, you know, we see you drive by and sometimes we forget to even wave, but it's not because we don't care what you're doing. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you guys. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Aaron.
And I'd like to say thank you to all of the uniforms out there
you.
today. You guys are all amazing, and we're so proud to have you part of our team.
That's enough for today, isn't it? Still good stuff today. It's all good stuff. Thanks, everybody. Personnel committee report. Had the minutes, but I want to hear the report too.
Yeah, I can take that. We met on October 11th, made the following recommendations. Health and Human Services acknowledge the retirement of K-State Betty Kozlowska, effective October 29th. 2021, acknowledge a resignation of child protection worker Kristen Radsky, effective January 21, 2022, approve the backfill of the position, any subsequent vacancies that may occur due to internal promotion or lateral transfer. Immediate recruitment is also allowed for sufficient training time and transfer of duties. Public Works acknowledge the retirement of Highway Maintenance Supervisor Todd Booker, effective October 29th. Consider the creation of a new position, Highway Maintenance Superintendent, grade 13. Approval of the job description and elimination of one of the two Highway Maintenance Supervisor, grade 12 positions. Consider the revised job description for Highway Maintenance Supervisor, grade 11. The position is currently a grade 12 and vacant. Approve the recruitment of the newly created Highway Maintenance Superintendent position, grade 13, wage $31.12 to $40.45 per hour, and backfill of any subsequent vacancies that may occur due to internal promotion or lateral transfer. Approve the recruitment for the Highway Maintenance Supervisor position, grade 11, wage $28.52 to $37.08 per hour, and backfill of any subsequent vacancies that may occur due to internal promotion or lateral transfer. The above actions are at no net increase in staff or personnel expenses. Then Sheriff's Office has acknowledged the resignation of Deputy Sheriff Colin Waddle, effective October 1, 2021, and requests backfill position and any subsequent vacancies that may occur due to internal promotion or lateral transfer. With that, can I just make a motion on all of it?
Yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the Personnel Committee report.
Ludwig will second.
Is there any discussion, questions? If not, Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lofgren. Aye. District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig. Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Thank you.
Health Insurance Committee report.
Can you guys, if I talk, I have to knock my video down.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yep.
Do you want to talk insurance matter or do you want me to start?
You can just take it, Jerry, then we're good. So then, because I'm supposed to be seen and heard, so.
Okay, so we held our insurance committee meeting and Matt and I were there with some employees and we had Jackie and Kelly and David. What we came up to is that if we did 6%, Justin from Gallagher thought that we would be good. He felt that that would be enough to, I'm sorry, I got to keep this up close to, sorry, Matt. He felt that with 6% that we would be good for the following year. We'd be able to get our reserves up a little bit. If everything went well. If we had a catastrophe, we'd end up going into our reserves. One of the questions that I had asked the employees was, with 6%, the county's taking the full increase and the employees are not paying anything because of the contract settlements that we have, which is a good thing. I mean, we don't want, we like our employees not paying, but we're not putting that extra money into our reserves that we had planned when we initially went to self-insured. And so I had asked if anybody was willing to step up and put a little bit into the pot, and it was very quiet. So we went with the 6% with the understanding from Justin and all of the research that they did and the research that the United Healthcare did, that 6% will be beneficial and it will keep us where we need to be.
So I think we need to have a formal motion.
Okay.
Of board that isn't that correct?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, that would be correct. If you wanted to make a motion to establish the 6% increase and then adopt the rates that were in the additional information.
So I will do that. I will pass the motion or make the motion that we accept the 6% increase for our health insurance, and then the rates per single and family for the 3 coverages that we have that's attached.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I can second.
Got a motion by Moore, or motion by Lovegren, seconded by Moore, to adopt the health insurance rates. And because we are the insurer, we're setting our own rate, and that is at 6%. And there's a chart that shows how that is broken down. Everybody, it follows our contract language. So any questions on that?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
If I could just expand a little on what Terry was saying about the impact of the 6%. So if you're on the single plan, the CMM or the HSA single plan, your cost is not increasing. If you're on any of the family plans, you are paying 30% of the increase. And so if you look on the right-hand column, depending on the plan you are, you may, as an employee, additional contribution.
Everybody got that? You ready to vote?
Yeah.
Okay, Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren. District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yeah.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then do we need another motion to accept the the other part of that is accept United Healthcare's change a recommendation involving prescription drugs and cancer screening. These changes have an estimated annual savings of $52,000.
I'll make a motion to accept those plan changes also.
I'll second.
Motion by Lovegren, seconded by Moore, to accept the changes that United Healthcare has recommended for an estimated savings of $52,000 a year. Any discussion? If not, Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren. Aye. District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes. Now, we get to your part. Sandstone Library Certificate of Support. And Kathy George, give a little presentation.
Thank you. So I am Kathy George here in Sandstone, and I'm really excited to report that after about 12 years of looking at options and studying possibilities for expanding the Sandstone Public Library in town, we are moving forward. So that's pretty exciting. The city applied for a grant from the State Library Construction Grant Program for $1 million, and we were selected. So that's very exciting. It is a 50-50 match grant. So we have a $2 million project budget. The project involves purchasing the phase office building at 106 Main, and then redeveloping it for the library. It's mostly all interior work, but we will be replacing the roof. and moving the library over there. If all things go according to plan, the library should be operational over there by the end of next summer. That's the hope and the dream. And it more than doubles the space of our current library. So it's very exciting. It's got the wonderful parking, if you're familiar with that location. Good parking, good accessibility, a lot of restrooms inside of the space. So there's lots of different places for people to collect and congregate. It's just going to be a great thing for the community. Excuse me. So as I mentioned, the project budget is $2 million. What we plan to do, what we're in the process of doing is applying for a USDA Rural Development low interest long-term loan for the other $1 million. And so part of their process is to reach out to area cities, townships, counties to get a letter of support, certificate of support. It's not a financial support, it's just acknowledging that the library is a good thing, not a threat to any other business or anything like that. So that is what is before you today. Do you have any questions?
We're happy for you.
Yeah, it's exciting. Thank you.
Ludwig will move that support.
Upgren will second.
Got a motion made by Ludwig, seconded by Lovegren, to support the Sandstone Library project. I'll catch up here. Okay, any discussion, questions? If not, Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren. District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Thank you.
Go forth and do good things. Thank you. American Rescue Plan ARPA mini grant awardees.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here today to talk about ARPA behavioral health mini grants. So, assuming I can take this. Sweet. Okay, so just a little background information. A few months ago, $20,000 of ARPA funds were set aside and committed to building mental health capacity and community support in Pine County. ARPA was something that was, mental health is something that was specifically called out as an acceptable use in ARPA funds. So we were excited to try to be helpful and get something off the ground. So an RFP was released in early August, and the targeted audience was nonprofits and or behavioral health agencies or groups. And the mini grants were anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000, with the understanding if there was a proposal that was a little over that, we would certainly consider that, just based on everything else that we had to consider. Deadline again for applications was September 10th, and we were excited to have 8 respondents, and we just didn't know if we were going to have 0, 2, or 20. So to have 8, we thought was pretty amazing. 6 of the 8 we are bringing forward to the county board for consideration and approval for funding. Before I get into the 6 that were selected to move forward, I want to talk briefly about the 2 responses that we decided not to move forward to the county board for approval and consideration. So one of the proposers just requested more funding than what was available. The request was for over $40,000, and we had $20,000 total to look at. And a lot of that request was for capital improvements. And so we didn't think that really spoke to the intent or the spirit of what we were trying to do with the grant. And then another of the ones that we're not choosing to move forward was really a duplication of services that were already provided in Pine County. And the responder, their main buildings were out of New York City with their corporate headquarters in Florida. So it didn't feel very genuine and authentic to bring another service provider into Pine County when that service was already being provided to our residents. So let's talk about the 6 responses that are we have before the county board for consideration and for approval. So I broke these down into a top row and a bottom row. The top row is Wellness in the Woods, Linwood Group Meetings in partnership with the Region 70 Innovation Team and Bethlehem Lutheran Church out of Ascove. So we have working relationships with each of these agencies. We partner with them on several things. The county board recently approved a contract between Wellness in the Woods and Pine County Health and Human Services for certified peer support specialist services. So we're familiar with these groups, and the responses that they submitted were very much in line with the heart and the spirit of what we were trying to get at, bringing people together, offering support, services, meals, and giveaways to get people to come to their programming. The bottom row is for, I do want to say before moving on to the bottom row, each agency in the top row we are supporting funding the full amount that they requested, and that full amount will be on the next slide. The bottom row is Empower Recovery Services. They're an MICD outpatient treatment facility in Pine City. MICD stands for mental illness and chemical dependency. So they provide outpatient services to individuals who are struggling with chemical health issues, but also have a diagnosis, some mental health diagnoses. So they're dually diagnosis program. Changing Gates in Brook Park. And I should mention too, we have working relationships with both of those agencies. We're very familiar with what they do. They do great work with our clientele and more other than just HHS clientele. I know that Empower and Changing Gates works with the probation department as well. And then finally, the last one is Anam Cara Therapies. So their home site is in the cities. However, they're looking to expand to the Hinckley area. And when you look through their proposal, it makes sense why they're looking to expand to Hinckley. They have an intern who's finishing up her internship and is looking to stay in her hometown of Hinckley, where she is a Mille Lacs Band member and has been living and working here for about 30 years. So the total amount of grant awards for your consideration, Wellness in the Woods, a little over $5,700, Linwood Group Meetings, $5,000, Bethlehem Lutheran Church, $4,000, and then you can see the rest there. So again, the top three were fully funded at their request. And when we got to those three, that was about $15,000. We had about $5,000 left that we wanted to look at offering up to the other three proposals, which were really good proposals as well. And so that's why you see it broken down into $2,499, $98, $1,400, and $1,400. For a total amount of a little over $20,000, I figured that would be okay considering ARPA's in millions of dollars. If we were $62 over $20,000, that would be okay. And then each of the contracts is finished and before you for approval today, with the exception of Anam Cara Therapies. And so the request is when we get that finished up and all those details in writing, that the board would also approve that on the condition of the county attorney reviews it and also approves it. So here are the next steps. So if the board is so inclined, approval of the contracts that are before you today. And again, one agreement is pending, so we would request approval of that upon county attorney review. The work will begin. Each of the contracts has some data and measurement tracking tools that we will be looking to see how things are going. I have a lot of staff who will be heavily involved in referring some of their clientele to the services. So I know that our crew and HHS will be a great referral source for some of these programs and events. We're going to be reviewing the challenges and successes, seeing what's working well. And potentially if something is successful and is working well, I could see entering into longer term service agreements with some of those grantees. So we don't hope to have a one and done. We're hoping to see what works, if anything works, and then proceed with that maybe with some services in the future. And last slide, I just think it's really important to offer gratitude and thanks to those who helped us along the way. So I know County Administrator David Minke, County Attorney Reese Frederickson, and County Auditor Treasurer Kelly Schroeder were extremely helpful in developing the RFP, developing the contracts. It was a lot of work for $20,000 for ARPA funds. I can't imagine how people did it with millions of CARES dollars funding or ARPA dollar funding. So a lot of work went into that and a lot of help. Just wanted to offer them some thanks. That's it.
Not yet.
Unless you have questions.
Yeah. Becky, you said you're hoping these could, you know, if there's some good results, where would that money come from? Out of our own budgets then?
So Health and Human Services right now has access to some adult mental health allocations from the state. And so depending on what happens with them, I could us looking at, hey, if something's really successful with $5,000, is it possible to find $10,000 and expand the reach? So that's an option. I know ARPA funds exist for the next couple of years, so I think that would be an option too with the right approval.
Well, it'd be amazing if they all, I mean, I think we all know if we can change one person's life, it more than it will pay back that 20,000.
Yeah, it will.
So it's a great time to try some new things.
It is. It's a great opportunity, and we look forward to working with all the grantees and helping them achieve success.
Thank you. We would be looking for motion to approve these contracts.
I will make a motion to approve the contracts.
Ludwig will second.
Are there any questions, discussion? If not, Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lufkin. Thank you.
Thanks, Becky. Next is a resolution to consider approval of buying parts from More Parts and Supplies. We've done this in the past for the Pine City store, and now he owns 2 stores. So
I will make a motion to approve the purchasing of More Parts and Supplies.
hang a second. Motion by Logren, second by Waldham. Any discussion? If not, Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
I'll abstain.
District 3, Commissioner Lufkin.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes. Pretty good.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyway, let's move on. Third quarter financial update.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, you have some graphs in front of you. And at the end of the third quarter, financially, everything was very sound with the county. If you look at revenues and expenditures on chart number 1, everything is about where it should be. The the total you can see is at 81%, which is a little ahead of where we would expect it to be at this time of the year. That's because of the $2.9 million of ARPA funds that we have received. So this is a measure of money in and money out at the end of the first quarter. Chart 2 looks at revenue by department in the general fund. And again, everything looks about where it should. You can see there's some variation from a year ago. The recorder's office, real estate transactions are there are many more of them. And so there is more revenue at this year than there was last year. The jail boarding fees, you can see, are below where they were a year ago. Although over time, jail revenues have become a smaller and smaller portion of that budget. But again, I think there's nothing that we're seeing that's unexpected. Chart 3 is expenditures in general fund budget departments. You can see court security where that really has shut down. We talked about that during the budget process a little bit. And then chart 4 just looks at health and human services by division. And again, everything is really falling where we would expect it to fall. Any questions?
Thank you. Looks like we're on track.
I always have to remind that I think we're on track because department heads actively manage their budgets and watch expenses and revenues.
I would like to thank the department heads and you and Kelly for that we know on any given day with pretty good certainty where we're standing, and we don't have to wait 6 months after our year end to look at an audit report to know if we're in trouble or not in trouble. We and actively manage that budget from day one of the budget year, and we appreciate that. Thank you. Commissioner updates. This was canceled. 7E broadband conference. Terry, you want to take that?
Sure. It was good. It was, we had people from Kanabec County, Pine County. Where else were they from? We had a panel and we talked about where broadband was at this point and where it needs to be, what we'd like to see. It's sad for us because we dropped from being the 4th from the worst in the state of Minnesota to the 2nd to the worst in the state of Minnesota for our
We
broadband.
didn't get any worse. We stayed the same.
We didn't get better, yeah. Yeah. I told Steve yesterday, I think I spoke it into existence when I said at that meeting I was on the panel, that if we didn't have Sandstone, Hinckley, and Pine City cities, that we'd be fighting Kanabec for the bottom, and now we're like right above them. So that was probably not the right comment to make. But we have our work cut out for us, and it started yesterday with another initiative. And so we're moving, there's some excitement coming up, and we did hear from East Central Energy at that meeting. They stood up and they did mention that they are going to start working with us. And there's a meeting on Monday with them to discuss how we can work together, which if we got ECE involved in this, that would be huge. That's like a big part of our population goes with East Central Energy. So that is really exciting. We'll tell you more next time. The saga continues.
Stay tuned. I just want to echo what Terry was saying. I'm very, very disappointed to read that we dropped in the state rankings because we are making progress. There's a company that's got stuff yarded on school property in Pine City doing that build out for Rock Creek, which is it's fiber to the home. So it's going to be as good a service as you get in America. We've got SCI that's on track probably to start construction, I believe, next spring, midsummer. I haven't heard a start date. I guess I shouldn't say, but I think they're not going to start in January, I'm pretty sure. So I'm guessing now everything will be ready to go by then. And then the announcement from East Central Energy that they've taken another step back and taken a good look at it. And if they publicly announce that at a public meeting, and now they've invited us to come back and say, hey, how can we move forward to help? I think that's a huge thing. So
you were my first internet provider, and I told Justin that day, I'm really excited, and I hope that he's my last.
Central Minnesota Council on Aging, that meeting got postponed because whatever the Old Age American Act dollars hasn't got sorted out yet. So that's where we get our funding. So we're going to hold off on that till next month. East Central Regional Justice Center.
I'll take that, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, kind of fading in now. We had our meeting, reviewed the progress of the 2022 Joint Powers Agreement, which we agreed to join the last meeting, but there is some changes to the per diems where our 2021 per diem was $280. And our 2022 per diem is going to be $285 per day, which is a change of like from $102,000 a year to $104,000 a year, roughly. A new board chair and new vice chair. So we're ready to hit the ground running. That's it.
Thank you. East Central Solid Waste Commission. One thing that is happening is Janelle has been our administrator, done a fine job for us. Is really talking about retirement in the next probably 24 months or so, and really would like a phased retirement maybe. So maybe it's up to our board to figure out how that's going to work. And the other thing that's happening, because deer season's coming up in a couple of weeks, deer carcasses will be taken at the transfer stations. If you're a guy that goes out in the woods, shoots your deer, you're going to have it tested in Pine County, and it's going to cost you $5 to dispose of it at a transfer station. If you're a deer processing company, there will be a rate figured out by dumpster load or something.
So you have to be tested first.
Yes, I believe it. I believe all the deer in Pine County do, but don't quote me on that. I believe that's the rule. Is that how you understand it?
I don't know.
I believe. I'll find out by Saturday, but anyway, that if you don't just throw your deer carcass out in the woods, get it disposed of properly. It'll be taken to, eventually it'll end up at the landfill west of Mora, and it'll get covered every day. They'll put them in a special spot in the landfill, and so they'll take care of them correctly. Hopefully the weather is not like it is yesterday and today, because that carcass will stink bad by the time it gets from your garage to a dumpster tomorrow. Anyway, where are we at here? Regional Library.
It was a really long meeting because we did a virtual tour of every library, and that was interesting, seeing what they all do and where they're all at. With the Sandstone Library, they're still waiting to get the wording right on the contract part between the library and the city. There's some wording where they believe that the city is in control. I think it's their attorney that wrote it, and it's really the county. It's a county library, part of the regional library. And so they need to get that fixed. There was quite a bit of discussion about that, and it was determined not to send it back until that got corrected. So I was going to talk to Kathy, but she left to see if that got resolved.
Pine County Chemical Health Coalition. There's a certain recovery, which is here in Sandstone, and they are going to be doing a women's housing with IEP substance abuse. They're going to have 7 beds. You must be enrolled in and you must work or going to further your education or something. But that's really exciting that we're going to have a place for women who have needs. Then Becky had talked about some mini grants, which we just talked about today. And that's exciting too. There's a lot of talk about vapes being found at the school, and the kids being able to purchase the vape equipment and the chewing tobacco and stuff, and how to stop that. And so we'll be working with the sheriff's department to figure out how to take care of that we're having. All I have. Matt, did you have anything?
No, I think you covered it just fine. Thanks.
Okay.
Public safety was canceled. Northeast Minnesota Transportation Partnership. 2 things that popped into my mind from that meeting is it is so nice to be able to have a Zoom call instead of driving to Two Harbors or Mountain Iron for that meeting. And this other thing is, it is so nice to have Mark sitting on those meetings, because that stuff at that level is way beyond. I have to text him, call him after the meeting. Well, you know, it's over our head. I mean, really, those even the language they speak sometimes is they speak transportation language, and it's really nice that Mark is there. He's very well thought of in Northeast Minnesota too, by the way, I can tell. Association of Minnesota County Tribal Relations Forum. That was held last week at Carlton at Black Bear. I think it was a good meeting. I don't know that we broke any new ground. I think Neil Dalswick probably summed it up best. It's hard sometimes to have a meeting and have a direct something you can point to that we accomplished this. Part of those meetings is building relationships. And I think that's probably where that meeting was. It was good. Carleton County does some neat things with Fond du Lac tribe. And so that's all to hear their stories. You got anything on top of that?
No, the things that I wrote down are some of the things that they're doing for ICWA with their Human Services Department. And I was going to talk to Becky a little bit about that. And then just the fact that they were saying communicate, and the tribal members that were there were saying, you know, bring us to the table. We need to be at your table so that we can discuss this together. And I was very pleased, because I think Pine County has done that. And that was work that you and Steve had done a while ago. And I think that has helped us greatly in our relationship with them all along, is those meetings that are held.
What was there was there some tribal members there?
There were tribal members from, not from Mille Lacs, but
Jamie
Edwards was there.
Okay.
But they were from Cass Lake Band and Fond du Lac and Boy Fort and
okay.
The next meeting is going to be January 20th or 21st at the casino here.
Terry's going to be in charge of that.
He's
District 1 meeting then was the next day in Carleton at their transportation building. And the one thing that we found out is, I guess we kind of knew it before, but Carleton County is in the beginning stages of building a new jail. 65 million, did they say, is what their budget is? And I just go, yeah, that's what I said. Good luck to them. Anyway, there again, it's relationships. It's always good to meet our counterparts in other parts of the Northeast Minnesota. I think we had a long presentation from a guy that had 1 million spreadsheets. I talked about PILT. I called David after the meeting and said, I don't know that I need to have a regurgitation of all those spreadsheets, but I think we need to understand PILT better than I thought I really understood it. I am confused of where we're getting our payments are coming from versus somebody in Brown County. I understand there's a land difference value, but the state has made these arrangements, and the people in Brown, Swift, those counties, when they buy a wildlife management area down there, that land is valued at $10,000, $8,000, $11,000 an acre. So they're getting paid the same as if that was productive farmland. We're not getting paid at the same level as I or you or anybody owned an 80 out here east of Asco. And we need to understand why, because I think it's just a matter of fairness, how they're doing the calculations. I think. Anyway, that's our charge for the next 6 months, is to really figure that out so that when we sit down with legislators, we can fully explain how we're getting the short end of the stick and not just throw it into this word called PILT, which we know we need to keep that funding coming. We need to increase the funding, but really in black and white, why are we getting treated differently than somebody in a different part of the state? So,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
Speaking of legislature and PILT, I can share what the top 3 legislative priorities were coming out of the meeting. And this was based on the voting of the participants. So the number 1 priority was strengthen PILT. The number 2 priority was a statewide behavioral health continuum of care. And the 3rd priority was fully fund out-of-home placements under ICWA. And so our district gets to go vote first. Probably none of the other districts are going to vote for PILT the way the Arrowhead does. So that may not stay in the top few, but.
Well, and now I understand it, because many counties don't have any PILT. And if you're from one of the southwestern square counties that have farmland that's worth $8,000 to $12,000 an acre, and you're getting maybe you only got one section of land in your entire county, and you're getting paid the same rate as Farmer Joe, if they were paying taxes, why would you be concerned about PILT?
You know, I think maybe if there's somebody online that doesn't understand what PILT is, it's land that the state owns or the federal government owns that we cannot collect taxes on. So it's tax exempt properties that we have that we can't sell, we can't do anything with, and we can't get money. So they're paying us a portion of what we would get if it was taxable. When you hear the southern counties that are getting paid 3 times more than we're getting paid up here, and we've got one of the counties had 50% of their land. Three counties in Minnesota have, Aiken County is one of our neighboring counties. 52% of their land is publicly held. And, you know, they don't have, their hands are tied. They can't do anything with it. And they're making 1/3 less than what the people that are in the southern part of the cities are making. It was disheartening to me anyway.
So Mr. Chair, I guess. One thing I guess I'm trying to get my mind wrapped around, PILT, payment in lieu of tax.
Yep.
So that's an income stream for the county.
Right.
Or a private individual owning that land and paying money as an income stream for the county. The big difference that I see is when it's in private ownership, that's new money coming in. PILT is that's still a taxpayer's money, correct?
So somebody's paying it.
But it's not like,
dollars, yes.
Right.
Yeah. But it covers, you know, the reason it came about in the first place is so much land went tax forfeited in northern Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And so the county said, we can't manage this. The state stepped in and said, we'll take over the management of that and we'll pay you this PILT payment in lieu of taxes. Well, it made sense at the time because it's not all tax. If you think about it, a lot of that money generates timber sales and probably timber sales being the big thing. So that goes into that pot of money that they can pay back the taxes on in Nemadji State Forest and St. Croix State Forest, Shangwatana State Forest. there's a lot of that land that's, you know, if it doesn't have timber on, it doesn't have timber for a reason, because it's below sea level. So.
Just a lot of Aiken and a lot of Pine counties is wasteland too.
Yeah.
That we have that's in.
So question is, so different counties are getting a different percentage, or is it just because their land values?
There's two things going on, and that's the part I don't understand. One is a default amount of payment. And then one is based on your land value. And so we're in that close to the default amount, but I don't think they're considering the raise in land values in the last several years. They're supposed to reevaluate it every 6 years, which is not the same as if you or I owned land. That comes much quicker. So there's some things that need to be straightened out with that.
And so we can set up like a committee of the whole type meeting and dig down a little deeper into PILT. And Matt and JJ, it was Keith Carlson who presented to the District 1 meeting, and I'm guessing he probably presented similar information to Arrowhead at some point, maybe. But we can get his presentation, I would think, and then we can work with Kelly and get session set up.
Can I ask a question about both?
Mm-hmm.
So townships that don't have any forested land that is that has any tax forfeited parcels, they don't get no payments. Is that correct? So, but they're still paying, if they're taxpayers in that township, they're still paying for people who are getting bills.
Not directly. No.
It's coming from the state, and we know that the state pot.
Yeah.
Nobody's out there flipping.
But we don't. I think there's some other factors involved there, Gussie, and I don't know. I can't answer that question.
I know we do have townships in this county that don't have.
Right.
Yeah, quite a few of them.
You know, Gussie, the way I look at it, because I'm in one of those townships, is that I'm blessed because we don't have a lot of forfeited lands. And we're actually getting more money in tax dollars coming into our township than we would be if we would be getting PILT money. So
you're paying all the other townships. Your taxpayers are paying all the other PILT payments for all the other townships.
The state is, yeah. So, and you know, we all know that if it comes to
if you're paying, if you're trying to line that up with real estate taxes, the real estate taxes aren't going to the state coffers to pay PILT.
Sure.
They're taking that out of the Office of Medtronics and all of those people. That's where the big tax dollars come from.
Can I add to a little bit for that?
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
So we found out what everybody's costs, their percentages are for their budgets. And the lowest was 2.5% in Lake County. That was pretty low. The highest was 5.94 in St. Louis. So taking them all together, and it's a 4.21 budget increase between all the counties. It was a 4.21% increase average, which I thought was kind of interesting because I liked that we were below that. The other part about the jail that they're building in Carlton that I think is a good thing to put on our radar is that they are going to have a really nice unit for women rehab coming in, where they'll go in there and they can have rehab inside of the jail facility. And so I think that that's something that's been lacking. So I'm excited to have that out there.
Yeah.
So Lake County was the lowest?
They were the lowest, yeah.
Haven't they been having like double digit?
They have been at 12 and 15 really? And 9.
2.5, so they're making up for it.
So yeah. Did they have some turnover?
No.
Oh, I don't know, but I have a note for Lake County that says fund balance use.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're using a lot of their fund balance.
But was it some of the same commissioners up there?
They've
haven't
got
seen them
a
in
couple
2 years,
new
but
ones. I think,
okay.
yeah, some of them didn't run anymore.
Okay,
One got beat.
okay.
And our neighbors to the little bit to the west, Mille Lacs County, just to give you a little perspective, is that set their preliminary levy at 24.5.
But they're not in District 1, right?
No.
They're not in our district, but
Yeah.
So they, due to a lawsuit, they are close to bankruptcy. I mean, they're having a very, very hard time right now and are really struggling. So.
okay. Where are we at? Is that it? Law library.
Everybody forgot about it and didn't go, so we're having one this Thursday.
All right. Shack meeting.
That is actually this Friday.
Okay.
And I can't attend it, so if anybody else wants to go, let me know.
Minnesota Rural Counties was yesterday, and I was going to log on for a while. And so every time I dialed in on my Zoom call, it said, waiting for meeting administrator to open the meeting. And then I just left that on there. I tried 3 or 4 times, and then it was time for the broadband meeting, so I didn't go into the broadband meeting. Any other meetings? Economic development was canceled. And we need a resolution under other to form the study committee. Where did I see that? On the handout for today.
Yes.
Resolution 2021-69, a resolution creating a study committee under statute 469.1082 to make a recommendation related to formation of a development authority and appointing members. So this is to form that study committee to actually bring a recommendation back to the board.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2021-69 with the membership that's on attachment A for the study committee.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Got a motion by Lovegren, seconded by Moore to approve the resolution 2021-69. Is there any discussion? Questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Is this a, I'm sure it is, but I just want to verify that HRA, what it's going to turn into, that authority, is that what we're working on there?
I'm not sure I heard the question, Matt, but I think this is the process that is going to choose one of 4 options. And one option is to create an economic development authority. One option is to assign the EDA powers to the existing HRA. One option is to pursue special legislation. And the 4th option is to do nothing. So the statute outlines those 4 basic options that the committee has after it goes through its study.
You got it?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So it seems like all the membership is from Sandstone South. Is there a reason why we don't have anybody north of Sandstone on here?
Because they go by district.
Well, we contacted every city, township, and school district and asked for them to submit people who would be interested in. And this is everybody who submitted. So no one was cut.
Okay.
So self-selection in essence.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham. District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got a long list of upcoming meetings. Try to make them work for you or get a substitute if you can't. And then we do have a closed meeting for contract negotiations. So we need a motion to go into recess here and go to a closed meeting.
I'll make the motion to recess this meeting and go into closed meeting for negotiations.
I can second.
Got a motion by Lovegren, second by Waldham to recess this meeting and go into closed session. Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
Thank you.
We can
So we'll be going into.
Can you get, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Oh, so before you go, can you give me a time when, like, so I can move to a place and hook up there and re-enter?
Can you do it in 5 minutes?
I can.
Okay.
Combine it.
We're on break from, we got the beans done, but
We're baling hay.
we take our corn
Oh,
down to
yeah,
Rissa's, so
we're kind of worried about,
if they're
we're
drying.
gonna have enough for the cattle this year.
Wait,
Well, that's
till they-
the
I think they'll be ready
third crop.
this afternoon.
And yeah,
Peterson's
they're
were
just praying that they can get it up
to
to
me today.
Oh, it's right, yeah.
Beans.
And there's not.
They
a lot
switched
there,
to
but
corn
it's
for a
like-
while. They did corn next. They took off.
Yeah.
Okay, call the meeting back in session. Any other business? If not, we'll declare the meeting adjourned. How's that?